Shalom Aleichem Rabotai. Yesterday we began the 12th parak of Mishnah Shabbat, talking about the Shiurim of Boneh, of building, and now we're on Mishnah Bet in the 12th parak, talking about HaChoresh. Choresh is plowing. What is the amount of plowing to be liable a carbon, an offering for breaching the Sabbath if it was done inadvertently? HaChoresh kol shehu, any amount. So even a tiny amount of plowing with a tiny little plow would be chayev an offering. Hamanakesh, what about weeding? Hamakarsem, weeding is pruning of dead branches. Hamzored, zored is pruning of living branches, like extra thick foliage. That might sound familiar from our limud of Shemitah. We talked about the sabbatical year of various agricultural endeavors that were forbidden on the 7th year, on the Shemitah year. Kolshu, these activities also, any amount is chayiv. So even pruning one branch would be chayiv a carbon if done by mistake. Mishnah Bet continues, Hamalaket etzim, one who's gathering wood. Well, now it depends on his intention. Im letake, and if he's gathering wood to improve, meaning he's breaking off a branch or cutting off a branch from a tree or a bush to improve the bush as an agricultural benefit to this plant, kolshu, so any amount, so even breaking off one branch. Im lahesik, or if it's to light a fire, now it's a different shear. Kedei levashal beitza kola, as we mentioned before, the shear of wood for hotzah, for carrying out, is enough to light the fire under the pan to cook up a easily cooked egg, which we identify as a chicken egg, and the partner says eats a kigrogeris, a dried fig size of a chicken's egg. So enough firewood to light that up. If he's gathering for firewood, that would be a significant act of gathering that wood. Hamelokit asovim. Similarly, if someone is gathering herbs or grasses, imla talking, if he's doing it as his landscaping to fix up the grasses or the plants that they're growing next to, kolshu, so any amount to affect an agricultural change is chayev a carbon. Im lebehema, but if he's gathering them not to do anything to the field or the garden, but to feed his goat, then it's kimlo pi hagadi. Then it's a significant act if it's enough grass or herbs that have been gathered to fill the mouth of his goat. Great, on to Mishnah Gimel. Hakotev, someone who writes. Shtei otiot, he writes two letters, like aleph and bet, or even aleph and aleph. Bein bimino, whether he's writing with his right hand, bein bismolo, or he's writing with his left hand. Bein mishem echad, or if he's writing one type of letter, like they're both aleph or they're both nun. Bein mishnei shemot, or they're two different letters, they're aleph and beit. Bein mishnei samamaniot, or even two different pigments, two different inks, like he uses blue ink for one and black ink for the other, or similar, we're going to see, Bekola shown in any language. Chayev, he's chayev achatat for two letters, even in any language, even Yevani, even Greek. Mishnah Gimel continues, Amar Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi explains, Lo chayevu shtei otiot, we didn't say that he's chayev carbon for writing two letters, ele mishum roshim, only because they used to make an insignia, like a mark. He explains, Shekach hayu kotvin al karshei mishkan. The Levium would write on the boards of the Mishkan, Leida eze ben zugo, to know which one's the pair. So the two boards would fit into one socket. Remember, there were those silver sockets, the adonim, at the bottom of the krushim, underneath the board, supporting them and holding them together. So it was set up so they would kind of overlap, but two boards would sit into one socket, and so they had to know which one was a pair. So even if you made some sort of mark that was on two boards, and it was one big mark covering two boards, like a big X marks the spot, according to Yosi, that would be chayev, because it's like writing two letters, because you're doing it to identify the two boards that they go together. So according to Yosi, someone could be chayev even if he's making like one big mark that covers two items, or two marks that you put them together to make one big mark, you'd be chayev. But Martin says halacha is not like this. Amar Rebbe continues the Mishnah, Matzinu shem koton mishem godel. You can find a small name made out of a big name. For example, Shem mi Shimon o Shmuel. Someone writes Shem, and he was intending to write Shimon or Shmuel, but he only wrote Shin Mem, and then he realized, oops, it's Shabbos, or he got interrupted, so he'd still be chayiv. He's still written 2 letters, even though his intention was to write 5 letters or 6 letters. Or another example is Noach min Nahor. Nahor is not a name used so commonly anymore, but Noach, thank God. Dan mi Daniel, Gad mi Godiel. If he intended, his kavanah was to write Gadiel, and he only got to write Gad, so he's still chayav, he's still done a significant malacha.